You see this in your labs every week. A student will spend 3 hours meticulously debugging a robotics project, completely absorbed by the variables. But put that same student in a traditional social studies class, and they check out. It is not that they hate history. It is that standard chronological surveys ask them to treat the past as a passive list of dates and names to memorize. As an administrator, that puts you in a bind. You need your department to hit rigorous humanities standards, but your students speak the language of systems, logistics, and engineering. This chart maps the core problem. Look at the bottom right quadrant. Traditional history instruction demands high prep effort from your teachers to make the material relevant, but yields incredibly low engagement from STEM-focused students. You cannot solve this by handing them a slightly modified textbook. You need a curriculum structurally engineered from the ground up for the analytical mind. That brings us to a specific alternative: how the world works. Instead of a timeline, this program treats history as an operating system. Students analyze the past through the mechanics of geography, trade logistics, resource management, and engineering. The curriculum focuses deep on 4 specific case studies for the entire year: Al-Andalus, Mali, Malacca, and Aksum. It is built strictly for public and charter schools. The focus stays entirely on observable cultural systems, trade networks, and innovation, maintaining complete academic neutrality with zero religious instruction. By framing history as a series of cause and effect challenges, students stop acting as passive observers and start evaluating human problems like engineers. This comparison matrix shows exactly what changes. On the left is your traditional textbook approach. On the right, the systems approach. Look at the focus row. We are swapping out a broad chronological survey for deep thematic focus. That is the primary trade-off. To get true analytical rigor, your department has to let go of the inch-deep, mile-wide march through time. Take a look at this Unit 6 header: Reading the Sky, Counting the World, Astronomy and Math. Instead of just memorizing when an empire rose or fell, students spend weeks analyzing how these cultures used math to map the stars and solve complex navigational problems. For a polytechnic school, this validates what your students already care about, bringing their engineering mindset directly into a mandatory humanities framework. Now let's talk about the operational reality for your staff. Right now, your teachers are burning out trying to modify standard curricula to fit these analytical students. The Wraparound Teacher Manual is designed so they can open it Monday morning and teach. It includes at-a-glance summaries, pre-written discussion prompts, and anticipated student questions with district-safe answers. You can see right under the header that the rigor is built in, mapping directly to C3, NCSS, and Common Core standards. The trade-off requires discipline. Teachers must trust the provided pacing guide and resist building supplementary materials from scratch. Commit to this single shared scope across your classrooms and recover hours of prep time per teacher every week, while automatically fulfilling district standards. A public school classroom has varying reading levels, English language learners, and mandatory IEP and 504 accommodations. Normally, teachers spend their weekends building those scaffolds manually. This curriculum builds them directly into the daily lesson plans. It provides 24-hour advanced ELL vocabulary lists, native language note-taking allowances, and single-page graphic organizers for specific accommodations. And because it maintains a strict policy of academic neutrality, relying strictly on observable evidence, it remains structurally safe for any diverse public district. With these built-in accommodations, the teacher's role shifts. They stop acting as a frantic content modifier and step into their actual job, high-level discussion facilitator. From an administrative perspective, you also have to evaluate the long-term return on this middle school program, specifically how it impacts 9th grade readiness. At the end of every unit, students apply this primary analytical framework to build comparative source evaluation skills. This organizer forces them to isolate variables. They don't just list what a civilization built, they have to defend why it worked and identify its specific vulnerabilities. That exact comparative matrix is the foundation of the document-based question used in AP World History and the comparative demands of IB history tracks. Applying these rubrics consistently through grades 6 to 8 means your students walk into high school already wielding elite thesis and source evaluation skills. This decision tree clarifies your strategic choice. From your main goal, the path splits. One way leads to chronological memorization, the other to systems and AP readiness. Tracing the systems path flows through reduced teacher prep and academic neutrality, pointing to how the world works. If your district mandates a strict Eurocentric timeline or prioritizes standard multiple-choice test prep, you should reject this curriculum. But if you run a polytechnic environment, need to unify your middle school sequence, elevate humanities rigor, and protect your teachers' bandwidth, you must adopt it. Adopting this framework executes a strategic, department-wide realignment of priorities that integrates the engineering mindset into every social studies classroom. You successfully bridge the gap between technical, STEM-based thinking and required humanities learning. You secure C3 and Common Core rigor without sacrificing your teachers' weekends, and you create a reliable pipeline, producing 8th graders armed with AP-level thesis and comparative analysis skills. Adopt the systems history approach as the new standard for your school. For a polytechnic school, teaching history as human ingenuity and problem-solving is the most authentic way to prepare future engineers for the world.